Tabitha here, and we're going to do an introduction to yoga class. So very basic movements that are fundamental to yoga and good to be familiar with any starting yoga practice. And it's always good to have some props to help you out. So here is a nice sized yoga blanket to use, but you can use any blanket that folds up to about that size. This is a yoga block, but you can use a lunch box or any kind of block that's pretty sturdy. This is a wood one, but they now come in foam and different kinds of things. This is just an old-fashioned wood block, but you can get creative with what you use for blocks. If you have a lot of limited flexibility, then I recommend 2 blocks. And then it's nice to have a pillow nearby just in case you get tired of sitting on your bottom for long periods of time, or you have trouble in your knees and wrists and being on them for a long period of time. And then it's always good to have a strap of some sort too. I couldn't find my yoga strap, which is basically a bathrobe belt, or just any kind of long loop. This is pretty, by the way, but for today's class I just grabbed an exercise rubber band, and I can use that as a strap because I don't have too limited of flexibility, but a strap is very helpful if you do have limited flexibility. So that's what we will be using for today's class. So if you want to pause the video and grab those items, then go for it. All right, so let's get nice and still and quiet before we practice. I'd like you to sit in what we call easy pose. This is a cross-legged, actually not cross-legged position, but it looks like a cross-legged position. You're having one heel right in front of the other, but not stacked. So typically when you first do this position, you have unequal flexibility on one side of the body than the other. So one knee is going to be higher than the other. That's perfectly normal. And you will work towards balancing that out. So just get comfortable with being imbalanced as you begin your practice. And if it's super uncomfortable for you, that's where you start to use your props. So if you had a leg that's way up here and it's hard for you to sit here with one heel in front of the other, stack your items underneath your knees until you feel comfortable in this position, so you feel supported and like you can sit here for a little while. And I would like you to just take your hands and place them on top of the knees and let your fingertips curl up toward the ceiling. And I'd like you to straighten through your back as much as possible, and then close your eyes. Straightening that spine as though you have a string attached to your tailbone, and it moves all the way up through your spine, out through the crown of the head. And someone above you is just gently tugging upward, elongating that spine, creating height in your spine, length in the spine, and become aware of where you're feeling any warmth or coolness in the body. Become aware of any places that your body is asking for your attention. For instance, right now I have this neck thing going on. I've been doing lots of gardening, and I've got a little stiff neck on this left side. And my body is kind of saying, hey, it feels like you've got some pinching going on in that left shoulder blade. So I'm aware of it. My body's asking for my attention in that area. And I'm observing that without judgment or attachment to it. I'm trying not to be attached to the pain, trying to be aware of it as I move through the practice today, so that I can take attention and care of that area, but I can also think about how I'm moving so that I can stretch functionally and also be gentle in that area when I need to. So in yoga, we want to avoid sharp pain always and forever. Mild discomfort is different. Getting outside our comfort zone, moving to a different level in our fitness, that is okay, as long as we're not sacrificing the body through sharp pain, because that's not how we get there in yoga. We break little tiny barriers in yoga, and that's how we grow. Yoga is a lifelong practice. And you may think, gosh, she's just sitting here talking. When are we going to get to the yoga? Let me tell you, this is the yoga. Just sitting, breathing, being still is the hardest part of yoga, and still to this day, after 20 years of practicing, that is my challenge. So let's start to add the breathing in, which helps with that challenge. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. And I'm gonna bet you breathe to about right here into your chest. So let's try to hold our bellies, one hand on top of the other. Inhale through the nose and try to bring your breath down to your belly button and press your hands away from your back. And then exhale, release the air. Feel those hands pressing toward the back as you release the air from the belly, the chest, the lungs, completely. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Hands come back to those knees. So I really want you to be aware when you're breathing in yoga of trying to breathe very deeply down into the body rather than a very shallow breath that's just to here. We don't realize that we just breathe to here, but we do. And yoga helps us to get our breath deeper, which has a tremendous amount of benefits for our bodies, our minds, and our emotional states and well-being. All right, so that was easy pose, and we'll often switch it up so that the other leg comes in front, but we'll get to that later. The next movement that I'd like to get you to, or pose, is all fours. So in an all fours position, again, if you have trouble being on the knees, go ahead and place a pillow underneath your knees. Same thing with your wrists. You could place pillow under knees and blanket under wrists to support you if you need to. In our all fours position, we'd like to have the wrists and palms of the hands directly under the shoulders and our knees directly under the hips. Toes and knees are in the same vicinity, hip width apart. All right, so we're going to move in and out of a cat and cow movement. So our cow movement is inhaling and dropping the belly down and looking up. Exhale into our cat back. So you think of a Halloween cat and squeeze the belly button into the spine, tuck the chin into the chest, rounding up in your shoulder blades and bringing the pelvis in toward the forehead. Inhale into that droopy cow belly, look up. Drop the belly down so you have like a big salad bowl in the back body. Exhale, round into that cat back. Squeeze the belly button into the spine. Yes. Inhale. Exhale. This is a great way to warm up the spine. Again, to check in with the body. Inhale, fill that belly while it's nice and open. Exhale. Inhale. Inhale. And come back to center. So center is just looking at that space between your thumbs. Now I'd like to teach you a resting position that you can get into anytime that you need to take a break. And this is called pose of the child. So anytime you just need to stop and rest, you will come down with your bottom resting on your heels and your forehead resting on the ground. You can leave your arms in front of you, but full pose of the child is where you sweep the arms in back of you, let your fingertips curl up toward the ceiling, and you just rest completely. If you would like to rest on a pillow, or again, limited flexibility means that you need to stack up quite a few things to support you in your pose of the child, you can do this. So it's always great to have them on hand. When you're in pose of the child, you should be able to be completely and totally relaxed. Every muscle in the body completely relaxed, released, nothing tense or tight. That's the idea there, is full release. Typically in the classroom environment, so you can signal to your teacher that you're fine, but you just needed a break. And you're listening to your body, you're not overdoing it. And you'll come back to join the class when your body is ready. But it's also just a lovely place to take a break, and you're still getting so many benefits. Stretching along this lower back, opening along the spine with this nice arch, stretching along the shoulder blades, opening up through the neck region. And of course, deep breathing. Inhale through the nose, fill the belly. Exhale, release. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Sweep your arms around in front of you and go ahead and walk those hands in toward the body as you come upright. Now, another way to adjust your pose of the child, if you had trouble relaxing there, is to spread those knees apart, or bring the knees together, or to spread the feet apart, or bring the feet closer together. Every body is different. So meet your body where it's at today and make those modifications so that this works for you, all right? So coming back to that all fours position, we are going to do a wag the dog tail movement from the all fours position to stretch the spine in a horizontal plane. So I'd like you to lock your hips in as though they're rooted in cement, and then fan your right ribs, fan these right ribs as you bring your left shoulder to your left hip. Come back to center, look at the space between your thumbs, inhale, and again, hips are locked in, exhale to the right. Fanning your left ribs, you should feel a lot of expansion there. Inhale back to center, looking at the space between your thumbs, exhale to the left. Inhale center, exhale right. Inhale center, exhale left. So as you're doing this, you're bringing your chin to your shoulder to your hip, and your hip is locked in. So you're feeling the spine opening, the rib cage is stretching open, abdomen expanding, breath is filling the abdomen, and then that nice release as you come to the side so you can deepen into your stretch even more. Inhale center, exhale side. Inhale center, exhale side. Inhale center, exhale side. Inhale, center. Exhale, side. And let's come back to the center for that. All right, moving from this position, let's get into a down dog position. Tucking our toes underneath and moving items out of the way, excuse me. Moving items out of the way. Tucking our toes underneath and really push your bottom down to your heels as you press into the palms of your hands. So I want you to imagine you're trying to split your mat in two right here underneath your chest by pressing your hands forward and pushing your toes and bottom back. Bring your ears between your biceps, so lots of explosive power before you come into your down dog position. And then just straighten those legs. Feet are hip width apart, remember, still hip width apart. And you're going to relax the head and neck as though your head were a bowling ball on a heavy spring. And we're trying to bring space between each of the coils of that spring by weighting the spring with a heavy bowling ball, which is our head. So we're always looking for space in the vertebra, in the spine. I'm always doing yoga in the tree, under the trees, here at home for you, and my mat's always getting all kinds of things on it. Not just the trees, it's the dogs walking on the mat too. Brittany brought a dead bee just a little while ago in her fur. Drop that on here, so you never know. All right, so in this position, we're working to get our heels down, but that can be a lifelong goal. So if your heels are way up here, congratulations, you have a goal that you can work towards, okay? This has taken me many years, and it is okay if your heels are not down yet. We do want those feet hip width apart. We do want the toes pointing toward the face and those feet parallel to one another. And at this point, especially if this is the first time you've ever done down dog, you probably need a break. So come down to that pose of the child or just to the all fours position. Take a little break. All right, let's all just take a little break. You can do a little cat and cow rather. Wag the dog, move it around a little bit, stretch it out a bit. All right, come back to that all fours position, nice flat back. Make the back of your head an extension of the spine. Tuck your toes underneath. Drop your bottom down to your heels, ears between the biceps. Power, pushing your hands forward, pushing your toes back, bottom back, and straighten those legs. Work your heels down, relax through the head and neck. And you want to tuck your armpits down toward your hips, or up toward your hips, depending on how you perceive yourself right now, upside or downside. And really breathe. Nice inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Let's bend those knees down and untuck the toes. Drop the bottom down to the heels and come into a kneeling position. So we're going to be sitting up nice and tall in this kneeling position. If you have trouble kneeling for any length of time, you can place a blanket underneath your bottom. That could help you. You could also sit on top of a pillow to assist you as well. And we are going to be twisting from here. So if you need to take your blocks, if you've elevated yourself with pillows and blankets, If you need a block behind you to reach the ground or elevate the ground to you, then go ahead and do that. All right, so this is where you would be if you're needing those blocks and blankets and pillows. If not, you might just want to have one block behind you or no block. It's up to you. I'm going to stick with one block. All right, so we're sitting up tall, legs are together. Squeeze the belly button into the spine and sit back just slightly. Hands are on top of those thighs. And I want you to imagine that golden thread again attached to the tailbone, someone gently tugging it up through the spine and out the crown of the head. So the spine is long, but we don't want to bring the shoulders up toward the ears. We want to relax the shoulders down away from the ears. That helps elongate the spine and soften those muscles around the neck, the shoulder blades, the chest. All right, so we're going to do our twist to the right first. So we're going to take our left hand to the outside of the right thigh. Right hand is going to come in back of you. You can press into yoga fingertips, which would be like so. That's where we just press into those tips of the fingers to keep ourselves elevated, or you can press into a block with a flat palm or yoga fingertips. And now notice my belly, chest, and chin are still facing forward. I've just placed my hands where I need them, and I'm going to twist to the right. Belly first, then the chest, then the chin. So in our twist, there's a tendency to hold the breath, to really keep it shallow, because all of our organs and our lungs, everything is constricted. But I want you to breathe deeper than normal here, because the goal of our twists is to detoxify and cleanse the organs. So we're squeezing gently those organs like a sponge to remove the impurities and cleanse any toxins. So go ahead and take a deep breath in. And as you exhale and relieve the air and the pressure from the body, you might be able to come deeper around to the right. Keep the shoulders relaxed away from the ears as you inhale. Try to fill the belly with air. Exhale. Come around a little deeper to the right. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. And exhale. Relax it back to center. Good. Hands on your knees. Come forward with your cow-like belly, chin and chest, and back with that cat back, rounding up the back. Pull on those knees, tuck the chin into the chest. Squeeze the belly button into the spine, round up the back as much as possible. Inhale, really big cow belly. Chin and chest forward. Exhale, back to cat back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And come back to center. All right, let's go to the other side. So I'll show you what it looks like from the front now that you've seen it from the side. So you may have been fine before, but now that we've been here kneeling for a while, you're like, oh, my legs are hurting a bit. Use your props, okay? This is not, yoga is not a place where pain is going to gain you anything, all right? Just doesn't work that way. So you got to retrain your brain that pain doesn't bring you the gain in yoga. I just made that up. Just really don't push through something in yoga. Find the comfort level. It's okay. It is encouraged to get outside your comfort zone, outside that box that area of comfort, so that you can grow your flexibility, your strength, and all of that. But sharp pain, no good. Let that retrain your brain that that is when you need to make an adjustment for your comfort and your progress and your practice to progress in a positive way. All right, so sitting up tall, tucking that belly button into the spine, imagining that golden thread and getting tall. Good. Right hand is going to come to the outside of the left thigh. Left hand is going to come in back of you. So I'm going to use my yoga fingertips and try not to lean back. If you're leaning back and don't have something behind you, place something behind you, even if it's a pillow or a block or a stacked blanket. Now remember, belly, chest, and chin are all facing forward right now, and then I'm going to move from my belly first, then the chest, then the chin around to the left. And why are we doing it that way? Think about wringing out a towel. If you wring it out from the outside in, you're probably not going to get as much out than water out than if you wring it out from the center and twist it to the outside edges. So we're twisting from that center belly out to the crown of the head. And again, breathe deeply. Inhale through the nose. Feel the squeeze in the abdomen. We want the squeeze. Feel the release. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And slowly float it back to center. Hands on those knees. We're going to inhale, roll the shoulders up. Exhale, relax them back and down. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, back and down. Again, inhale, forward and up. Exhale, back and down. Wonderful work, everyone. Okay, let's come to a seated position still with the legs outstretched to the sides. Okay, have your strap within arm's reach for this one. So working on our flexibility in the hips and the legs, which is super important for issues with the lower back, because issues with SI joint pain, and any kind of pulling sensations that you have. It typically stem from tight hamstrings and calves, because if you think about your body structure, you know, and your legs, if you had rubber bands in your legs attached to posts, which were your bum, and those rubber bands got tighter and tighter and tighter, naturally those posts would take a lot of the weight. But if we can loosen those rubber bands in the legs, then those posts at your bum aren't going to take as much pressure. So we're relieving the pressure every time we stretch the back of those legs. We're relieving pressure and tension and tightness in the glutes and in the lower back. So that's what we're going to do right now. I want you to spread those legs a comfortable distance apart and flex through your feet so much so that the heels want to lift up off the floor. All right, and we're just going to walk the hands forward and get a sense of our flexibility here. The heels are going to come down toward the floor. As you do this, keep your legs flexed, and I just want you to find your flexibility here in your forward fold. This is called a forward fold. We are folding the upper body over that lower body, and I want you to see where you're feeling this. I'm feeling it deep in my hamstrings, which is the muscle in the top part of the back of the upper part of your leg. The hamstring. You might be feeling it in your calves, which is the lower part of the leg, the muscle in the back part of the lower part of the leg. You might be feeling it in your feet. If you're on your feet all day and you have tight arches, you might be feeling it in your quads if you're a quad dominant person, or maybe your shins. Could be feeling it in your glutes if you have what I described before, frequent glute and lower back pain. And I don't want you to force yourself into this. Just kind of come to where you feel the stretch and it's almost too much, and then back off just a little and hold it. Keep the feet flexed and the legs active, toes and knees pointing toward the ceiling. Good, and then slowly walk your hands in toward your upper body, and we're going to move the belly, chest, and chin out toward that right leg. Now it's critical that you keep flexing those feet and legs active, toes and knees pointing up toward the ceiling, okay? So if you're having trouble with that, and again, you're feeling uncomfortable sitting here for very long, or you're having trouble keeping those legs flexed, place a blanket under your bum, elevate yourself, elevate that butt cheek on one side versus the other. Position yourself the way you need to, like a bird in a nest. Just fluff your feathers, fluff the nesting material until you are comfortable. All right, so belly, chest, and chin all pointing out toward that right big toe. Feet are flexed, legs are active. Let's walk it forward. Legs stay active, and just come to where your flexibility is on this side. Nose and knee come down to wherever they will. Come to that place of discomfort, then back off a little bit. Now this is where I want you to not overdo it. So you may or may not want to use the strap at this point, but if you'd like to use it just to help you a little bit facilitate this stretch, you can wrap it around the bottom of your foot, right foot. That'll kind of give you a sense of where we're going here, but I don't want you to overdo it. We're just kind of taking notes here. Where's our flexibility at today as we begin? As we set the stage, as we set our foundation. All right, walk the hands in, keep those feet flexed, the legs active. Just holding these legs active is a lot of work right now. Belly, chest, and chin, all face the left big toe. Knees and toes pointing up. And let's bring it down over the left leg. Keep your legs active. My left side is so much tighter than the right. And that you will find throughout yoga, throughout your lifetime. And that's why we do it. Always looking for balance. It can be all kinds of things. How you drive, how you sit in a chair and cross your leg or not. If you carry a backpack or purse on one side of the body versus the other. All kinds of stuff affects our flexibility. If you carry a child on one side of the body more than the other, if you have a physical job and you use one arm more than the other, it's so interesting how our bodies are not equal in strength and flexibility, even though they look it typically from the outside. But that's why yoga is so great, because they help us get those imbalances out so that we don't get injured, so we can prevent the injury before it happens and keep our bodies safe and injury free. All right, relax your feet. In fact, go ahead and point and flex those feet. Now we're going to get into a more structured forward fold with the legs together. And I would like you to use your strap fully. So if you have a strap, if you don't have a strap, you can actually just use your blanket. Just throw it around the bottom of your feet and you can use it. All right, so what I'm going to do is hold on to my strap and reach my arms up overhead. Relax your shoulders away from the ears. Notice my shoulders were way up here. This is something all new yoga students have to master. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Flex your feet so much that the heels want to lift off the floor, engaging through your calves, your hamstrings, your quads. And then we're going to pour the belly out over those legs first. Then reach your chest and your chin over those legs. Yes, take this long to come down. Reaching your arms forward without reaching your shoulders up toward your ears. Wrap that strap around the base of your feet and then drop your nose toward your knees. All right, so wherever you are, just meet your body where it's at. You might be super flexible and you can wrap your hands around those feet. Good for you. If you're not and you're holding on to a strap and you're way up at the top of that strap and you can barely get your face 3 feet from your knees, great. Again, you have a goal to work towards. You've got to meet your body where it's at today. This is the best version of your body right now because it's alive in this present moment. Meet it where it's at today. Go with it. Use it to the best of its ability. Breathe into it. Inhale. Exhale, release the air from the belly and come down deeper into your fold. Walk your hands a little bit farther down your strap to deepen into your fold. Keep your feet flexed. Legs are still active, super active. These are the times where our mind starts to go, what are we doing here? Why are we holding this stretch for so long? I need to make the grocery list. I'm just going to sit here and make a grocery list while we hold this. I'd rather you actually save that for later. Try to stay in your body. Think about what we're doing. Opening through the back of those legs, loosening up the rubber bands so that we can relieve pressure, tension, and tightness from the glutes, the lower back, so we can move more freely. Inhale. Exhale, come down a little more. Inhale. Exhale down more. One more. Inhale. Exhale, lower. Beautiful. Relax those arms and just let them hang, hands hang along or rest on the floor as you slowly stack your spine like a rag doll coming to life, saving the head and neck for the last bit. And then relax your feet. Point and flex those legs, toes rather. Wonderful. So great. So we've done a lot of seated movements, some kneeling movements, and now what I'd like you to do is come to a resting position on the floor. So for the resting position, we don't typically use too many props for what we're going to do, so you can get them out of the way. Now if it's cold where you are and you're going to want to cover up with a blanket at the end of your class for final relaxation, you might want that blanket nearby to cover up with. I'll talk more about that later. So you just might want that within arm's reach. Oh, excuse me, yes. All right, so we're gonna come down into a pose called corpse pose. And we're just gonna rest there for a little while so I can describe it and get you comfortable with this position. In corpse pose, you would like to rest on the back of your head, no pillow, no blanket really supporting you, unless you really need that something rolled up underneath your knees perhaps for support. If you feel like tingling or numbness anywhere, you can roll up something underneath your knees to have them elevated. That helps some people. You can also make a roll to place underneath your neck if this causes you any kind of pain to lay in this position for too long. We're gonna rest with the fingertips curled up toward the ceiling, and ideally we have the arms pulled away from the body, so no part of the upper arm is touching the torso. But again, that's an ideal, it's not a requirement. And same thing for the legs. Feet fall away from one another, and the idea is to have those thighs apart from one another. And in corpse pose, we are fully letting go, growing roots into the ground beneath us, and feeling light in our front body. And it just takes about 4 or 5 practices to where you can come into this position and real quickly close those eyes and start to feel like you're expanding in all directions. Back body's rooting, front body's light and lifted, and it's kind of like a signal to your brain that you're just chilling out here, letting go, surrendering fully. That's what corpse pose is all about. Being very vulnerable, exposed, fully out on the floor, and letting go. And we start a lot of positions from here. What I'd like to do today is 2 positions from corpse pose. Our first is a figure 4 stretch, which is really wonderful stretch, again, for the hamstrings and glutes. And then we're going to do a twist, which is going to be a floor assisted spinal twist. We did a kneeling twist, and that felt great, but it's also nice to compare how different it is to use the floor and our backs resting on it for our twist. So let's do our figure 4 stretch. It's a very common stretch used by athletes, so you might be familiar with it and not know that you've been doing yoga all this time in this stretch. So you're going to bend up those knees, bring your feet hip width apart, cross your right ankle just above your left knee, lift your left foot off of the floor, and then interlace your hands behind your left thigh or in front of your left shin. And if you can't quite reach your hands in either of those areas, you can grab your strap and use that strap to help you hold on to something in front of or behind, in front of the shin or behind the left thigh. Now we've got that right elbow right inside the right thigh, so let's use it to press that right leg up toward the ceiling. And then let's use our interlaced fingers or our strap to pull the top of the left thigh into the chest. But don't let it peel your lower back off the floor like this. Keep your lower back glued to the floor so that you're isolating that stretch here in this glute and hamstring. You should be feeling it here, right? If you'd like to deepen in, you could flex your feet. For a lot of people, that helps accelerate the stretch a little deeper. And then if you want to take it a little further, you can lift the head and neck up and tuck the chin into the chest. As I mentioned before, I'm feeling a little tender in my neck today, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to listen to my body and do what's best for me today, even though my ego says, oh my gosh, you're the instructor, you should be able to do everything. I'm going to hush that voice and say, nope, I want to be able to do everything tomorrow, so I'm going to be gentle with myself today. All right, so deepen in a little bit more. As our muscles release and relax and elongate, then you can deepen into the stretch. It's really magical. You can feel the effects taking place in your hands as you're breathing. You just have to pay attention. All right, if you have your head and neck lifted up, go ahead and lower them down. Go ahead and relax your feet if they're flexed. And let's just hang out here about 15 more seconds or so, pushing that right thigh up toward the ceiling, pulling the top of the left thigh into the chest a little deeper. Inhale through the nose, exhale nose, and relax the left foot down and do those fingers and drop your right foot down. Good. Let's bring our left ankle just above the right knee, and the right foot is going to come off of the floor. Interlace your fingers behind the right thigh or in front of your right shin without lifting your lower back off of the floor. Left elbow presses inside of left thigh toward the ceiling or sky, and right interlaced fingers pull the top of the right thigh into the right side of the chest to deepen that stretch in your left glute, gluteus maximus, your butt muscles there. I call them glutes a lot, just so you know. That's what I'm going to be, the term I'll use. And that hamstring. It's all connected. Flex your feet if you'd like to deepen in, and lift the head and neck up if you want to engage there as well. Breathing deeply. Deepen in a little bit more. All right, if you have the head and neck lifted up, go ahead and lower it down. If you have those feet flexed, soften the legs, feet there. And about 15 more seconds here. Deepening in if you're able. Pulling the top of the right thigh into the right side of the chest. Pressing that left inner thigh toward the ceiling. Relax that right leg down. The left leg comes out from across that right knee. And we're going to stretch back out into corpse pose. I just want you to feel how you're feeling. Feel how your body reacts to being done with that really lovely deep stretch for your glutes. Now we're going to move into our final pose of the practice today, our floor-assisted spinal twist. So bend up your knees for me. Bring your feet hip width apart, just heels a couple inches away from your bottom. And we're going to bring our arms into T position. And that just means you raise the arms up so that if you drew a line from one hand to the other, it would cross your body at your chest height and cross you like an undercase T. We're going to lift our right leg up and cross it over the left leg as comfortably as possible. For some of you, that's just going to mean one ankle is going to cross over the other knee, just like before when we were doing our figure 4 stretch. Wherever you can cross that leg over is perfectly fine. So you're going to drop those knees to the left and the head is going to relax to the right. Now, if those knees don't come all the way down and it's uncomfortable for you or creating too much of a stretch, again, back up, grab your blankets, pillows, stuff them underneath this left hip so that you have a surface to rest your legs down on. The other adjustment that you can make is that you can not cross those legs. Just leave them right next to one another and just let your legs fall to the side. and let them lay wherever they want to. All right, especially if this is your first time doing a floor assisted spinal twist. Don't overdo it. I like crossing the legs. It creates a deeper stretch and it feels really good for me. But if you're not ready for that, just modify as needed. Now we're relaxing our head over to the right to deepen in. Again, if that's too much for your head and neck, just keep looking neutrally up toward the ceiling. All right. So if you close the eyes and go inside your body and think about the twisting going on from your toes up through the legs, through the spine, through the neck, and out through the crown of the head. This is a really wonderful assisted stretch. This is the epitome of putting your body in the right position and then letting gravity do the work. Your job is to just melt here like wax in the sun. Let everything go. Soften your jaw. Soften your eyes. Try to unclench your teeth or, again, your jaw. Relax your feet and toes and fingertips. Fingers and palms. Soften in your belly. Relax and open your chest. Let those knees fall a little closer to the ground and your right ear a little closer to the ground. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale, release, melting down deeper to the floor. One more inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale. Exhale, release. And on your next inhale, bring your nose and your knees back to center. All right. Uncross your right knee from your left and bring your feet hip width apart and press those feet into the floor as you bridge up. This is called a bridge, where we peel the spine away from the floor. Just go to about the mid back, and I want you to recenter your spine back down nice and straight before we twist to the other side. Now lift your left leg up, cross it over the right leg. If it works for you, you might find you're more or less flexible on this side than the other side, so you may just want to try it first, even if it didn't work on the other side. And let's drop our legs to the right, and the head is going to relax to the left. Just meet your body where it's at right now, today, here and now. Scan that body, looking for any place you're still holding on, gripping muscles, tensing, clenching, tightening, and just breathe a softening energy in with your inhale. Exhale, release and let go. Inhale. Exhale, release and let go. Inhale. Exhale, release and let go. On your next inhale, bring the nose and knees back to center. Arms open, still in T position, bridging up, recentering your spine, and go right back into that corpse position. If you would like to cover up, especially if it's cold where you are, go ahead and grab a blanket or put on a sweater, some socks. When we lay on the floor, our heart doesn't work as hard to pump oxygen up and down the body, and we get cool pretty fast. So we don't want to do that in yoga. We want to stay nice and warm, especially when we're relaxing for final. You can also now, if you want to, place that blanket underneath the knees, prop those legs up, get nice and comfortable, whatever works for you. But do try to stay in somewhat of a corpse pose if you're able to, or you can sit in easy pose if you prefer that for final relaxation. Either way, get nice and comfortable for about 10 minutes of quiet solitude, peacefulness, full surrender, staying present. So we're not going into nap time. We're just being in the moment with nowhere to go, no place to be, nothing to do except to be here in this moment right now, letting all the good work we've just done over the last 50 minutes or so soak into our bodies and minds. This is when the real work is done. And we just let go, let it all soak in.
She's waiting for love to be realized. I'll send her my heart covered as a gift, and hope that you'll take it into her side. La 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 la.
ready, go ahead and bend up your knees. Roll over to your right side. Press yourself up to sitting with that left arm. And come to that easy pose. And in yoga, we commonly say the phrase namaste at the end of class. It means the highest part of myself honors the highest part of you. And so with that, until we meet again, namaste. Thank you for practicing with me. I'll see you next time.